But Ali, don't you think that even whether he did this or not, he was already labeled that way because kuna vile, and Maraga is also in the mix from what we see. So to me, naona hiyo vote yao ni split.
Why are you saying he's going to be labeled as a tribal?
Either way,
but he was already labeled because when he went to Kenya for the first time, he went to Gusii Stadium to a Heroes Welcome.
Yes.
Right? And I know that
one thing that's a bit off topic, that I don't know whether I should be saying this, but anyway, because I know his supporters watanisikia. I think one tactical error that Matiang'i has made in his, he hasn't declared, but in he's clearly showing interest.
Correct.
he has declared today.
Or he declared today?
Yeah, today is when
Okay, so I missed that.
He went home and declared.
But I think one tactical error he made with the crowds he started meeting, especially here in the diaspora, they were all Kisii crowds. And if you're looking to become a Kenyan president, one thing that Raila was able to do very effectively. I know Raila is not very popular amongst the Gen Z in studio, but one thing that Raila was able to do very effectively.
Do no wrong.
One thing that he was able to do very effectively was to posture himself as a national leader. I saw a flyer going round that Rigiji is going to be coming to the US. Now, in America, yes, Rigiji is going to be coming into the US, I think, in July, if not the end of June. It's going to be coming in the US. And my question to you, we know that there are very few registered voters in the US. I mean, there was the registration exercise did not go too well the last time. And you say that the politicians in Kenya are looking at the diaspora, yet we do not have numbers. But you're bringing the point that they're after our money, which I think a lot of people have not given deep thought. I've also been seeing Matiang'i making rounds. I've seen him make rounds in Dallas. I've seen him. I don't know. He lives in
made
DC.
rounds in Minnesota. Wakampromise chopper.
Oh, he lives in DC?
Chopper campaign.
Yes. Matiang'i actually lives in DC. He was working for the World Bank. Yeah. So those are the things you get to know when you come to the one.
Mungemsalimia
Actually, ukienda Swahili Village, Bellsville every Tuesday.
Yeah. But one thing that's off topic. Mika, man. One thing that's a bit off topic. That I don't know whether I should be saying this, but anyway, because I know his supporters watanisikia. I think one tactical error that Matiang'i has made in his, he hasn't declared, but in he's clearly showing interest.
Correct.
He has declared today.
Or he declared today?
Yeah, today is when
so I missed that.
He went home and declared.
But I think one tactical error he made with the crowds he started meeting, especially here in the diaspora, they were all Kisii crowds. And if you're looking to become a Kenyan president, one thing that Raila was able to do very effectively. I know Raila is not very popular amongst the Gen Z in studio, but one thing that Raila was able to do very effectively.
Do no wrong.
One thing that he was able to do very effectively was to posture himself as a national leader. He always had so many different people around him.
Faces, yes.
He was very careful about being surrounded by Luos. And
even the way he was sitting, Ali, we had inside information. Even the way he sat at a news conference or whatever,
venue,
very strategic.
Very strategic.
They knew who to place on the left side, who on the right side, and had nothing to do with tribe.
So I think at the moment, my good friends, I think my good friends from the Kisii community are a bit excited.
Yes,
but they need to chill out, because if they continue surrounding him, he's gonna be labeled as a tribal kingpin, and we're gonna go back to that cycle that we were in.
But Ali, don't you think that even whether he did this or not, he was already labeled that way because kuna vile, and Maraga is also in the mix from what we see. So to me, naona hiyo vote yao ni split.
Why are you saying he's gonna be labeled as a tribal?
Either way,
but he was already labeled because when he went to Kenya for the first time, he went to Gusii Stadium to a heroes welcome.
Yes.
Right? I know they tried to capture the Kibaki, the Matiba moment. You remember when Matiba came from the UK in 1992? And there were people at the airport waiting for him, like the whole country was excited, even though Matiba was brought in to split Ford. But you do remember the way he came. I think he wanted that effect, but that doing that effect in Gusii Stadium doesn't really talk along. Nikama, and I'll be honest here and say, I know most people will feel mad, but let's be honest, it's just like what the new party is doing, Yakina Rigiji. Yes, you guys, you talk a lot, you have rallies, but in Central, to Kenny Central.
So again, I think this is a false start, but yeah, you have something you wanted to add.
So I think Rigiji has realized that there's the cloud of being a Kikuyu kingpin over him.
Yes.
And that's where the cousins is coming from. I don't know if you've been on the internet, but Hi Cousins is his way of saying that, yes, I'm Kikuyu, but I have many cousins that support me, other Bantu communities, and that's what he was talking about when he was in, was it the coast? Yeah, he was at the coast, yeah, he was,
and that's the thing, and that's the thing. Let's be honest. We want one term to be a reality, right? If we want one term to be a reality, the only time we ever did something like this, the whole opposition ganged up together.
Again, the number
the
to call.
The whole time we defeated a sitting president, the whole opposition ganged up together.
Okay.
If these guys don't gang up together, which I hardly see them doing, one term itakuwa two term.
All right. Number to call 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Mika anasema if the opposition does not unite, we might one term itakuwa two term, itakuwa 10 bila break, and that's a very scary prospect to even think about. Again, the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. We'd like to hear from you. Apa Estamulusa anasema witching hour is an English term. We are good people here. Okay, all right. So hiyo witching hour Miss Jessica. And then anasema when the witches in England did their magic. At Chimalavandu, our land has just been excised for an electric fence around the Kakamega forest without compensation. We are livid. And I can see also Ruth Wanjiru is also tuned in from the West Coast. Esther Mulusa anasema Shimalavandu is a dangerous narrow road that killed people. It's not about human violence. The road has since been made into a dual carriageway, which has stopped the carnage. And then anasema 3 a.m. is the English people's witching hour. Washeke anasema Mika, you have a good point. Diasporans crumble to kiss politicians' ass when they come here.
Wow.
And Washeke says, and we still socialite politically in our tribal cocoons. And I can also see a Kenya Doyo all the way from Houston, Texas is tuned in again. The number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. I know people also
Ali, before you
YouTube.
go on, Paula, to cut you off on YouTube, just to welcome Val. Val is here. Karibu Val, she's on YouTube. And to all our my YouTube fans, kuna watu hapo, they're not talking. Ongeni, now's the time to talk.
Yes.
All right, back to you, studio.
All right, thank you so much, DJ Moshfire. Now I want to come back to you, Sheila. You were there during the honeymoon phase of Ruto's win in 2022. You were still living in Kenya.
Yes.
So you were there when all that craziness was going down. From where you sat, did anything hint that we were barreling towards a full-blown uprising? From when, he got elected, of course, there was the euphoria. But as a few months started going, was there any point you started feeling that things are not right, na mambo itaharibika? Ama did the uprising come as a surprise to you?
I think I'll start by saying that 2022 was actually the first time I voted.
Okay.
Yeah. So in terms of did I see the uprising? No. I don't think anybody saw this. I don't even think the security forces in Kenya even saw this. But I think what we saw in 2022 was a lot of, I don't want to say mob mentality, but I think, group thinking is even worse. A lot of moving with the crowd, a lot of hustler versus dynasty. And it showed that, yes, we have an economic disparity in Kenya. I think the numbers right now is that basically the kind of inequality that exists in Nairobi right now is South Africa apartheid levels.
Wow.
So there's a very big disparity between the poor and the rich. And that's what Ruto fed on for his 2022 election. However, the script that the masses would now turn on Ruto, I can't say I saw it in 2022, no.
Okay, that was not visible.
No.
What was it that convinced people in 2022? And I'm not going to ask you how you voted, but if you feel sufficiently philanthropic, you can tell us.
No one can hear.
Yeah, but what is it that that made people convinced that this is the guy who will deliver us from Gondwana land to Canaan?
You know, people say Ruto is a master politician, which to some extent I believe, and then go back to the Hustler versus Dynasty, and his opposition was basically Uhuru sponsoring Raila.
Yes.
And those are people who've run for office over and over and over again. Uhuru has been president before. These are people whose fathers were people in the Kenyan government. So that campaigning, that us versus them campaigning can be very not intoxicating, but can be very influential to the mind. And I think that's why a lot of Kenyans jumped on that bandwagon. And we also have a tendency as Kenyans to look for our savior in politics when we should really be looking at reforming our institutions.
Okay, reform our institutions, and you still did not answer the question, but that's okay. We can get back.
I didn't vote for Ruto, by the way. Let me premise
thank
that.
God.
I did not.
Hiya.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, thank
All right.
God.
Okay, so
What? But can I ask another question behind that voting thing?
Sure,
Yeah.
go ahead.
So, why didn't you vote before 2022?
No, I wasn't 18.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, sawa. So, at your first...
hiyo swali yako lakini
Hapana, si...
Hiyo swali yako mazee, kuna vile.
So, uniwache tu mimi niulize. You know, I have a reason why.
Yeah.
And it's because my nieces and my nephews, I think prior to 2022, were not even feeling like getting a voter's card. They were not even feeling like, even if they got a voter's card, it would make a difference. So, for the last 2 elections, for those who were able to vote,
Yeah.
they just sat it out.
You have a very strong point.
They sat it out and they didn't want to know.
I think people under 30, most people under 30 were not thinking
They
about
did
voting.
not want to know.
Yes, but-
Somehow in 2022 is where there seemed to be a little bit more, I don't know if it was, I don't know if I call it excitement, or they actually went and got voters cards and voted. The ones who, let me put the ones who were still not sitting it out. Let me just put it
Yeah,
that way.